Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. How are we all doing? I hope we are all good. So today I decided to show you one of my A plus setups or one of my high probability setups, which I usually look for in the markets. And if that particular pattern presents itself, I usually go in that trade without fail. So pre-NFP, the pattern which I want to talk about is basically a liquidity sweep, a market structure shift, a fair value gap retest, and the retest has to be happening right on the 13 EMA with a nameable candle or one of the famous four. So I'm just going to come to the daily. So let's just do the normal thing, the normal multi-time frame analysis. So from the morning, if you watch the video, I'm not sure what time I'm posting this, but if you watched the video from yesterday, you would have noticed that we were trading in this particular daily candle. This was actually the same day, but it was a morning session, but I think I'm sharing these videos on 2 different days. So you want to pay attention to the candle on the 6th of March, 2025. So if you check that candle, we've been bullish. The bias is the same from the morning. Nothing has changed. So coming to H1 now, just zoom out a little bit. This is what happened. So the morning trade was within this push up of this week. That's where we caught the buy. And the afternoon trade, if you follow us, you know we usually come to the charts around the stock market open, which is 16:30 GMT plus 2 at the moment. So we came in, we realized that we had a nice like W pattern here. We had a pin bar. And I was just looking forward for the price to remain above the 13 EMA and to potentially come back above the previous day's high for me to continue looking for buys. So with that in mind, coming to M15, what I wanted to see was my price staying above or closing above the 13 EMA to show that I'm still bullish. So you can see at 16:30 GMT plus 2, we had this nice inside bar right on the 13, but closing above the 13 as well. So I think that's what actually caught my attention. Let's go to the 3 minutes, right? So on the 3 minutes, you can see this is the push which started at 16:30. We had this liquidity sweep or liquidity taken here. That's where this setup starts. So what you first want to see is a liquidity sweep. So once you get that liquidity sweep or a low being taken out, the next thing you want to look for, if you're buying, you want to take the first close above the 13 EMA because remember, we are already bullish. So we are not waiting for many things. As long as we see a liquidity sweep, the first close here is your first sign that you can actually enter your trade. You can also enter at the second confirmation. Then for a high probability trade, remember after the liquidity sweep here, what you want to see is a market structure shift. Market structure shift is simply a break of structure. So if you had a high here, it simply has to be broken in the direction of your bias, right? So we got a higher high here. So as price is retracing to set a higher low, that's where now our antennas go up and we get ready to snipe a trade. So the next thing we wait for is for price to retrace either into an OB or into a fair value gap or into the 13 EMA, one of those three, with a nameable candle. There has to be a candlestick which you can name. So here, initially we had a doji. Then soon after that, we had a pin bar. So right here, that's a high probability setup. 1:3, even if you risk like 2%, your return can still come out looking quite good. So let me quickly jump into the results of March 6 so that you can see how we planned this trade with the mentorship community. Okay, just gonna make this big, replay it. All right, so I'm going to pause here. We had another gold setup, which I'm not going to talk about right now. This we analyzed it last night and it played out today. Then initially, I was actually seeing a potential of a sell, but we were not taking this trade. I was just like price reading here, just watching what price was doing because I had this point of interest on the bottom here on H1. So we were price reading. That was before 4:30 GMT plus 2. Then at 4:30, that's when we came now with this particular setup. We can see with the time on the bottom. And I had just mapped out the liquidity sweep, and I was just waiting for a break above this particular order block and yesterday's high for us to actually execute the first entries of this particular setup. So this was the setup here, which I'll show to you guys just now. This is one of the trades running on a ZAR account. And this is the trade. So you can see 1630 GMT plus 2, liquidity sweep right there. Then we got an inside bar just above this level. Yesterday's high breakout as well. So that was the early entry. Price actually then retraced to give that high probability pin bar, which then occurred a little bit later on. So you can see this was also the trade running. Again, this is a proper count, break even there, and TP right there. So apart from this, let's quickly jump into trading view so that you guys can see the actual setup. So this is how the setup was looking like. So we had a nice liquidity sweep, like I said. The first order block being broken was right here. Then I was paying attention to the previous day's high. The entry was right there as well. Then here we got this other entry. So you can see within this bigger setup, we also had a 1:3, a quick setup based off this pin bar, taking profits right here with the 1:3 risk to reward ratio. Then the initial setup, I would say it's already complete because this trade, we're already out of it. It was a successful setup. Although it's pre-NFP day, the pattern presented itself and we just decided to execute on this particular setup. So each time you want to trade, if you are able to visualize these few things, so what you want to visualize first is a liquidity sweep on either direction, but it will be better if you've got a bias from a higher time frame. So the first thing you want to see is a liquidity sweep. Then the next thing you want to see is a market structure shift. Then after you get a market structure shift, excuse me, the next thing you want to see is a 13 EMA retest, which can also be FA value gap retest or an order block retest. Excuse me, sorry about that. If you see any of these items, plus the last thing you want to see, I'm just going to write it here. The last thing you want to see is a nameable candle. I'm just going to write it like this. A candlestick which you can name basically. So in this example, we had this nice pin bar which triggered this buy, and it was also a retest of this broken zone, which was also a retest of yesterday's high, which was right there. So we had a lot of confluences lining up here. We also had the 13 EMA, as you saw, on the MT5 platform, and this trade is almost on TP. I think initially our setup, we wanted to see price going to hit 23,500. This has been our mission on German 30 for now. So this will also be the all-time high as well. I believe we're actually on the all-time high right now because, yeah. So potentially we might get to this level, but this was the setup which I wanted to share with you guys. Each time you go on your charts and you get any of these things which I mentioned, get a liquidity sweep, you need to see a low get swept like this. Or if we had a sell bias, we wanted to see this high get swept. Or otherwise, if this was the high being swept, we wanted to see a retest, then something like this. If we had a sell bias, but because we had a buy bias, we need to see the liquidity sweep opposite where we want to go. Then we want to see the market structure shift in the direction of the bias. Then we want to wait for a nameable candle on any of the three confluences we want to see. 13 EMA, fair value gap, or the order block. Any of these three ones, any of those three ones, you get a nameable candle retesting. All you have to do is enter. Either the trade will play out or it won't. So if you're using proper risk management, then you should be home and dry. So I think that's it from me today. If you guys need to learn more about this strategy, just follow the link in the description. Let me know how I can be able to help you. The only thing I'm offering right now is paid mentorship, and the 2025 day trading mastery course. That's where we teach everything in greater detail, and we speak on these setups as they are forming. We plan our trade, then after we just trade the plan. So if you enjoyed this video, thank you so much. I'm going to just link another video right in the center here for anyone who needs more depth into these nameable candles or the famous four. I'm just going to leave a video in the center for you there. Apart from that, enjoy the rest of your day. Good trading.